Sourdough for me is the ultimate in baking. Every baker wants to perfect their sourdough. Every customer wants to buy sourdough these days. It is the trendy bread. And I'm going to show you an easy, simple way to achieve this amazing bread at home. I'm going to use this Loctite container here from Lakeland. It is perfect for creating the ferment. And that is going to be the backbone of our sourdough. First thing we're going to do is we need an equal size cup of wheat flour and rye flour. These are 7-ounce cups. But it doesn't matter what size they are as long as they're the same size. It's all about volume here. So, 1 cup of wheat flour into your container. And then we want 1 cup of rye flour. And then to that we want equal amounts of water. So we'll do 2 cups of water. So use the same cups again, just to make sure we get this right. So we pour that straight into there. Now you have to be a little bit patient with sourdough because it does take a little bit of time to get this stage going, because we're going to have to leave this overnight and really let the natural yeasts in the flour activate. You get natural sugars in flour as well, and that with the yeasts that are in there are going to activate and start bubbling up. So just mix it all together. Then we use the Loctite lid. So give that a really good shake. And then we're going to leave that in the kitchen overnight to let it ferment. So I've left this ferment overnight. I've given it 24 hours. And as you can see, all these bubbles, this is the natural yeast that's been activated and come to life. This is what's going to give our bread a wonderful lift, an amazing crust, and some really nice air pockets in the bread. Okay, so the first thing we need 500 grams of strong white flour. So that's straight into the bowl. Okay, and then a good pinch of salt. And then I've got a sachet of dried yeast. Put that on the other side of the bowl there. Get my hands into the claw motion and we can start to mix that together. And then just make a little well in the middle. Then I'm going to pour half of this ferment into the middle of the flour. Okay. And then the remaining amount of ferment here, I'm just going to add 2 tablespoons of flour to that. And a couple of tablespoons of water as well, so equal amounts like we did before. And that'll just bring that back to life so that we can use it again on the next loaf of bread. Pop that shut. We can pop that in the fridge now. I just need to add a little bit more water. And then we can just use our hand in a claw motion and just start to bring the dough together. Just roll your hand around the bowl. Add in a touch more water at a time. And then when it comes away from the bowl as a dough, on your hand, and it kind of leaves the bowl a little bit clear of all the bread dough, then you know it's ready to transfer onto the worktop and start kneading. And then you want a touch of flour, and then we just start kneading. Really stretch the bread and make sure that activates all the gluten, which makes it a really stretchy dough. And this is what you need for all the yeast and the ferment to create those wonderful air pockets. So you get a nice aerated bread dough and quite a tangy, crusty, crispy texture on the outside. You can see now that it's absorbed all the flour on my worktop and it's really easy to move about. I can just carry on doing this all day long. So get the dough, just kind of turn it towards the centre and turn the bread, pull it out, pop it into the centre, and then just flip it over. And then just turn it round, kind of put your hands at 10 and 2 o'clock on a clock face and just turn the dough around until you get that nice round loaf shape. And then we're going to pop that back into the bowl. Then all we're going to do is just place a good heavy cloth over the top and we're going to leave that to prove for about an hour. I've let this bread dough prove for an hour now and you can see it's all really aerated. It's got those lovely air pockets in it now. So, a little bit of flour on the worktop, and then we're just going to carefully pull that dough out. There we go. And you don't want too much flour here, you just want a nice delicate hand and just kind of stretch the dough. We'll knock it back and just bring it all together. Should take about 30 seconds or a minute or so. And then we're going to turn it into a nice big sort of bloomer type shape roll. So just start rolling it in your hands, get it into that sort of familiar bloomer shape. What we're going to do is just kind of take the bread and turn it into the middle on that side, turn it round and do exactly the same again. And what this is going to do is put the crease of the bread dough along there. That's the weakest part of the bread. So we want that underneath. So turn it over and then just using your hands in like a pointed shape, we're going to make that really nice kind of rustic baguette shape. So little points on the top. And what it'll also do is it'll make sure that this is really crispy at the ends. To get an even more amazing texture on the bread, I've got this very sort of heavy duty baking cloth here, and I'm going to let it prove on this. So add a touch of flour, make sure it doesn't stick, and then carefully lift your bread onto there, and then just lift up the sides like that, and then do the same on that side. So we've got it encased in that heavy cloth. So I've left the bread for an hour now to prove, and you can see it's really light and fluffy, it's really puffed up now. So it's ready to go in the oven. I've preheated it to 220, I'm going to turn that down to 200. I just want to dust this bread with some flour, give it a nice generous sort of dusting, and then with a small sharp knife I'm going to make some little cuts. And what this does is it really helps with the texture of the bread, gives you that amazing crust. So carefully get your hands under the bread, really careful because you don't want to lose any of the air in that. Pop it straight onto the tray and then straight in the oven. I've got some water here, I've got a tray at the bottom, getting nice and hot, we'll add that extra steam. My bread's been in the oven now for 45 minutes and it's beautifully golden brown. I'll just pop that onto there. And then to check it's cooked, just turn it over, give it a little tap. That sounds hollow. It's perfectly cooked. I'm just going to tuck straight in.